What you do for work. Work is such an interesting thing because as you grow older, you start realizing how valuable what work is. You also start understanding internally how invaluable it is. Like it's most people when you meet them, you go, "Hey, what do you do for work?" And based off what you say, they determine your value. So a lot of the times growing up, it's like, "Hey, like what do you do for work?" And they say something and you either put them in tier one. It's like, oh, they went to university, they did this. Tier two, oh, okay, you ended up starting, let's say you started a business or something. And then three, it's like, oh, you're actually like, you're laid off, you're probably lazy. And it's like, it's a sad way that we look at people. And as I grew older, I just realized like, no, I'm going to treat everyone the same. Like, it just does not matter. I know my value and I'm not going to look at people like that. And I try to stop asking that question. It's really easy to ask that question when you first meet someone. Now, in saying that, I thought growing up I was going to be because I grew up quite like religiously, and I thought I was going to be a pastor, Christian pastor. So I put all my eggs in that basket thinking that's what I thought I wanted to do. And by default, there was always work in carpentry. So then I took work as a carpenter and I started learning renovations, and I actually learned some valuable skills. And then here in Canada, you can take the apprenticeship program, which is like each year that you go, you can get more money essentially, because like you do your first year, you can go back to your job and be like, hey, I learned these things. Can you pay me more money? And at the time I just thought, yeah, I want to do this and I'll just do this for work. And the thing that I realized later on is that like I didn't try as hard in school because I just thought I was going to be a pastor. And it's so silly. Obviously, if I had the mind now, I'd go back and I would do things differently, but that's not how it works. But I can give advice to people younger than me. I can give advice to my children, and I can also still try to change things myself. So I did the carpentry thing. I finished, I got my journeyman ticket, but I hated it. I hated the work. And the crazy part is that I also realized I didn't want to be a pastor, even though I was like preaching to like hundreds of teenagers, and people were like, you're crazy for leaving this. But I just left the religion in general. That's a whole different video though. But I left the religion. So I'm not going to be a pastor anymore. So the only thing I had for work was to be a carpenter. And the crazy thing with that is that like I got married at the time, so I have to work. And I just started doing that. And I was just so depressed doing it. It's not that it's shameful work, it's actually amazing skills. I ended up using those skills to build a legal basement suite, to have a rental and all that stuff. And for future renovations, side jobs, it's great skills, but I just did not want to do it every day. And I say this to you that if you're younger, like put value in what you do for work, because you're going to spend so much time doing it. It's literally a third of your life. And if you can get ahead and do great, great, you can retire earlier. But the probability is that you're probably going to be working for a while. And the crazy thing is that we only have those first few years of like, you're not married, you can still live at home. Like after you graduate it, I get it. You won't have all the answers, but you still have to put some time to it and try to put yourself in the shoes of a 30 something old, a 40-year-old you. I'm 37 now, and I actually did change careers. I got through a family member, I got hooked up into fiber optics, and that's what I do now. And I work in the fiber optic world, and I enjoy it way more than carpentry, just the way that my mind works and just how this stuff works. It's a better fit. Is it what I want to do? No. If I could go back, I'd go back into university and do all that stuff. But I got married, I started having kids, and it's like, it's hard, so hard to be like, now I'm going to go to school, because now you have a mortgage to pay for, insurances, kids to raise. It's like there's so much. It's possible. It's possible you can go back to school, go part-time. It's just incredibly hard. So pick something that you somewhat enjoy. Try your best not to put your value and identity behind it. Pick something that's going to be like, don't go too abstract. I feel like sometimes I've heard this. It's like, follow your passion. At the same time, I played drums for many years, and I thought I was gonna go to this university for music school. And I'm actually glad I didn't do that at the time. I thought it was like, yeah, I'm going to be a pastor and be a professional musician. But I'm actually glad I didn't do that. And I ended up with the carpenter ticket instead, because at least I can make money from that. It's like these skills that actually help me in life. The music thing is just like, I ended up getting tinnitus from drumming, so I dropped that. And then it just wouldn't have made any money to support my family. So I just would have had to start from scratch. So it's like, it's not always, it was my passion, but I'm glad I didn't pursue it, because sometimes it's just these essential skills that help you out the most. You know, with all this talk about AI and stuff, they keep talking about the future proof jobs, or the jobs that you're more hands on. And actually, I encourage people to get into fiber optics. I feel like it's a booming trade still. There's lots of work. It's tied into artificial intelligence as well, because it's like the veins of what this stuff is going to be working through, essentially. But it's pretty good work, But just to kind of go back to the main topic, like, try not to wrap your whole identity behind these things, because when I realized I wasn't going to be a pastor anymore, part of my identity just like crumbled, because I was like, that's who I am. So then you kind of just realize job is a job, but it's also still pretty important, because like, you need to survive in this world. You have to play this game, the game of paying for everything. And there's no escaping the game unless you get ahead yourself. So try to find a career, go to school, try to find something that you could probably make a decent, like there's a decent future work proof for it. Like, if you're, if you go to school and you're like, I think I want to become a nurse, like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of work for nurses for so long. And I get it. And then you go on YouTube and there's videos of people being like, I burnt out of being a nurse and want to switch careers. And it's like, I get it. You could always find that, but everyone also still finds their thing. I feel like I've heard stories of guys being like, I'm this professional. I think it was like an engineer or something. Or like this one guy that I met, he was worked in some HR department and just hated it. Then he went to the trades and he loves it. He doesn't like dealing with people. He likes the hands-on approach, and that's great. Everyone finds their thing. So I just encourage you to try your best to find your thing. Try your best to see yourself doing something 8 to 10 hours every day, and that you can make a living doing. Because if you choose the wrong thing, honestly, it's so tough. Especially once you start having children, you get married, you get settled down, it's really tough to go back and redo it. So try your best during those younger years to choose something that at least you sort of enjoy, at least a little bit, have some interest in. It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least you're like, yeah, I could see there being work in this area for a lot of years. Life is going to throw curveballs, health issues, who knows, right? Like, I joined this trade like 7 years ago. It's called communication technician. And I had a huge injury where I fell down and I smashed teeth, and it was terrible. But I'm still in the industry because I would rather do this than do carpentry. And I'm also seeing what other avenues I'm going to take, because I can't do this forever either. So I'll be working on these things as well, but I definitely enjoy this career more than the carpenter career. And the carpenter career, I appreciate the skills that I learned in it, because I can use them all the time. Sometimes I do side jobs and I can make a bit of extra income. I was able to do side jobs to help me save up for my first house that I purchased. I was able to work all day, and then I'd go at nighttime to do drywall, mudding and taping, framing, like, you name it. And so some of those trades you can go into, learn some valuable skills, and have skills the rest of your life, but you don't have to stay in it. And so just to summarize all this, if you're young, use this time to visualize yourself 10 years down the road and be like, can I see myself doing this for a while? Because if I fall in love, or if I meet someone and start having children, it's really hard to switch, like really hard. It's doable, but it's just extremely hard. So do your best to choose something. Don't try to wrap your whole identity to it. At the end of the day, you're just trying to provide and make some money. And, that's what we're all doing out here. We're all so weird. The work world is so weird. We're all pretending to be so proper and like, well, most of us, but it's like, tend to be so proper, professional. You just say yes all day. You get home and you're like, geez, like all day I'm just a yes man. You know, it's like I have to do what my boss tells me or else I can't get that paycheck, right? So do your best to choose a career that you can see yourself doing for a while. Put effort into it. Visualize yourself, but don't wrap your whole identity behind it. There's still other things to you. Learn about finances and just prepare yourself for the future, because I'm 37 now and I'm glad I switched trades, but I'm also still like, man, if I could go back, right? But I'm married now. I have a house, I have kids, and it's just so hard now. It's so hard to be like, I'm going to go back to school. So I just encourage you guys to like think about this. If you're a bit older, like in your late 20s and 30s or 40s, and you're like, man, I hate what I'm doing, you also have to realize you're not stuck. You're not stuck. I know it feels like you're stuck because you have a mortgage and all this stuff, but you're not. I was able to switch from carpentry to fiber optics, and it was funny because in carpentry, I was like running job sites. I built a restaurant, sub-trades, you know, and it was like great, but the work died down. And then I got into fiber optics. It was like just over 10 years of that. And I built my legal suite and then side jobs, but I was just getting burnt out by it too. And I switched to fiber optics, and it was like the simplest job at first. I was just pulling cable all day, but just a change of scenery would just made a huge difference. So if you clicked on this video, it's because maybe some of you are like just dreading going to work. You just hate the job you're in and you feel like you can't get out. I'm just telling you, there's always a way out. Just reputation is a big deal. People are always looking, even if they say they're not looking. So make sure you're always working and being honest and showing up on time and doing your thing. And you'd be surprised when you network and this person ended up leaving and they got a job here, and then they ask you if you want to go. Like that just happened to me recently. So it's like, you're not stuck. Put some work into it. Network. There's a way out of this like job depression where you wake up and you're like, I don't want to do this. Like me with carpentry, it's like, I don't want to do this. So I switched, and it was just a nice change of scenery. And I'm now 7 years into this now, but I'd still prefer it over doing what I was doing before. So I just encourage you guys to take your work situation seriously, but don't take it too seriously where it's just your whole identity. And if you feel like you're stuck, you're not stuck. There's always time. There's always an opportunity for change. All right, you guys take it easy. Peace.